Final topic, Star Trek. The topic that you can always jump into and have everybody agree, be courteous.
That they hate you. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody can voice their opinion openly without any kind of regard for hate speech or what, blah, blah, blah.
Even the novice can have a voice in this
Right.
discussion.
And everybo's so open and friendly about it when we get into stuff like this, too.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's one really forgiving community.
As much as we...
Community of teachers.
that are open and encouraging. It's funny, as much as we say that from some of the negative stuff that you get from something that has this passion of a fan base, the vast majority of the comments we have all have been positive. And by the way, did you know this? There's usually just a handful of those childish, people that are like, you don't know what you're fucking talking about and blah, blah. But anyway, this what I think is kind of cool. So the show is going to take place in the official old school timeline. And
the Calvin timeline?
No, the Calvin is the new one. The Calvin is the reboot timeline.
Probably already got us burnt.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The Calvin is the new timeline. This is the old school timeline, but it's taking place before the original Star Trek, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Before Kirk and
3 or 4 years, I think, before Kirk.
But there's a bunch of people that are working on this from a production standpoint that also worked on some of the previous series, which to me gives me hope because I liked, and we've talked about this on the show before. You can always check those out on youtube.com/fracturedfocus. But the new movies I liked. I thought they were good. They were a new spin. But the more I watch them, as much as I like them and what they and God, I love Benedict Cumberbatch playing Khan and stuff. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't feel like official Star Trek movies to me. They just didn't have that philosophical. They were much more. They were emotional, which J.J. Abrams and the guy that did the third one that also did Fast and Furious, can't remember his name, forgive me, but whatever it was, they grabbed the emotion. They are good writing. The character arcs are there. There is a little bit of homages to the original characters that the new actors are playing that kind of gives you some hints back to them while still adding their own element to it. I think all of them did a great job. But the movies themselves just don't feel really Star Trek-y to me like all the movies did and all the series did previously. All had something kind of in common that this is lacking. So having some people from the old school series that are going to have an involvement in this, I hope we get more of that philosophical nature still in the show. You can still have your action elements and all your, I mean, I think back to season 3, 4, and 5 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's some of the best in the franchise's history, in my opinion. I'd love to get more of that.
Yeah. If this were like a Serenity or Firefly, I mean, that would kind of be what I would want to see. Mm-hmm. More next generation, where you're not relying on the graphics because back then the technology wasn't there to really do it.
Right.
So you relied more on character interaction and interplay. Mm-hmm. It needs to have that. Obviously, you have the advantage now with this superior technology when it comes to graphics, so you can use some of that. But I'm with you.
And they've even said
have that old story.
They're gonna be all this stuff takes place. In fact, they're hiring now. That's what this topic was about. Super fans to help fact check show details. To me, that shows a lot of respect. That they know that the fan base out there, if you start stepping on canon, boy, are you going to hear, but probably Star Trek more than anything that I can think about.
Oh, yeah. There's like Bibles. I mean, isn't there like a Wikipedia page for Star Trek?
Oh, yeah. There's, I mean, you can go out there and see what happened, like timeline by timeline, how stuff connects with this. And it's really fascinating to get into that because I like jumping in there sometimes just to play around and this leads you to this. The same thing I do with wikis for like A Song of Ice and Fire for the Game of Thrones series and stuff. It's fun to dig into that. But the fact that they're doing that is really cool. And they've shown off little images recently of some of the tech they're going to be introducing. And they've said that they're going to be updating some of the stuff they've got, even though it is still the same, like, since this takes place before the original Star Trek with Kirk and Spock, they have those communicators that they flip open. So they are still going to have those. They are going to be a little bit modernized because you can't I get where they're coming from. You can't put on a show today and expect an audience that has never gotten into Star Trek before, if you want to grow that audience, to see something that looks like it was futuristic in the 1960s, Yeah. You have to update that a little bit. But you can still
the gold mesh and
yeah, exactly. So we are still going to have that, which I think is really cool because if anything, I think that when you watch something like whether it was the original series, Next Generation, the movies that eventually came out of that, you're basically looking at it through the lens of what the technology at the time. But I don't think that you need to just that was absolute. That was exactly what that device has to be here going forward. The phaser still got that old school phaser shape, even though it looks a little bit today how it would look with our tech today. So I don't really have a problem with them updating the
prototype weapons.
Sure,
that's all you got to call. That's all you got to say. Just call them prototype weapons.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you,
explain the modification.
Does that really bug you that they're going to kind of update this old school tech since it takes place so far? Like, the bridge is going to look way different than the bridge from the 1960s show.
Sorry about that.
Well, you're good. The bridge is going to look way different, and it's and I think it kind of has to.
Oh yeah, technology. I mean, you could not, like, you're right. You could not take that 1960s or 1970s show and put those sets in a TV show now and pull it off.
Right.
I mean, it's just not going to work.
Yeah. You
can't have Spock looking down in this tube trying to tell him what's, there's something incoming or whatever. You're going to have to update the technology.
And as much as I know, there's a group of fans that would like it to be that way, though. Yeah, but this is what it's looked like in the show, so that's just what it is.
But that's the bridge of the Enterprise.
Right, exactly.
That's how we've gotten away from it. We're not on the Enterprise.
Yeah. But I think
that doesn't have to be the Enterprise bridge.
My point was, even if they did do that, even the fans that would say that they would want it now, when you see it in action, you're like, no, you're right. This is hurting more than it's helping. I think that we kind of need to update this. But I'm super pumped. They've got the guy who's going to be captain of the ship was the same guy that played Malfoy's dad in the Harry Potter series. Can't remember his name. You know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about.
I think he's going to make an awesome freaking captain.
He was in The Patriot with Mel Gibson back in the day.
Yep, he was a bad guy in The Patriot. I love him as an actor. I think he'll do a great job as a captain. And I know that we had a talk previously about this series coming up that they mentioned that they were going to do more about like a character that wasn't the captain. And our argument was, well, the show has always been about a whole bunch of characters. It's never been about one. But the more that we find out about this show, I think what they meant by that is one thing that has been a common thread in the Star Trek series is the bridge has always been kind of the centerpiece of the show. Every once in a while, you'll have a show that themes around a character out of that, but the bridge is always our home place, and that's where the major characters that we get to know, the majority of them are. And this, it sounds like we're going to see a lot more, probably maybe even the majority of the show, where it's not just the bridge. Maybe it's like what goes on
engineering
the lower ranks, or what's going on besides these 12 major characters we see in this room. The majority of the time in the show, there's like a couple thousand people on the ship. What the hell is their day like all the time? So maybe from their perspective more, which I think could be really cool and a unique take on that. So we're not just retreading old themes. I don't know. What
that definitely sounds refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
I love reading the space books, and I love watching Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see what they come up with.
Yeah.
The way that they're releasing this, I'm not overly excited about. With CBS All Access.
Oh, yeah. I wonder how long that's going to... Because I'm wondering, is that... We haven't really found out. Is that just how they're going to first release it, and then it's going to be everywhere, or is it going to be exclusively only watchable on this service?
The way I understood it is the first episode was going to be on regular CBS,
mm-hmm.
and then after that, you could see more episodes on CBS All Access.
I just wonder if there's going to be an amount of time, whether it's a week or more, that eventually you're going to be able to watch it everywhere, on demand. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But you're right. Hopefully that's not a bottleneck for us. We'll wait and see how that goes. But the fact that they're hiring super fans to correct all this stuff shows that they're really serious about canon and...
Oh, yeah.
Now,
they don't want the backlash either.
Yeah, that would not have happened now because clearly they didn't meet the Romulans at that certain potluck until, 2362. So, don't try to pull the rug over our eyes on this one, too. But that is cool because when they Star Trek is probably the one thing more than anything, especially if you discount the Calvin timeline, where there is a definitive this happened where every single thing, whether it's been TV shows, movies, comics, other stories, have all tied into one universe, which is really hard to do. And as much as there might have been minor conflicts here and there, they had the most definitive one timeline of any franchise I can think of, that's that deep for that long. For that. Well,
they're the only one I can think of that has a star date that they list for episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, we never found out what the time period or what you called that in Star Wars, did we?
No, because in Star Trek they always have it, and that's something you can go back and research.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So unlike modern shows where they'll film them and then they'll mix up their order as they think they should, or episodes, they'll shoot them and then they'll kind of mix up their order after shooting to see which ones they want to release at which times.
Right.
You start including star dates in there, and that makes it kind of difficult to do.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Well, for those of you that love Star Trek, let us know what you think about. I mean, super fans are going to fact check, and I'm assuming everybody loves that idea. But are you even more excited for this show right now? What are your hopes and fears about this? Please be gentle. I know that we're not super fans, but we do love Star Trek, and we're excited for this show to come out. So let us know what you think in the comments below. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been Fractured Focus episode number 29, the show we obsess about everything from geek culture to nerd news, along with random topics for discussion. Please let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and don't forget, you can always check us out at youtube.com/fracturedfocus as we attempt to entertain you successfully 100% of the time, prune juice guarantee, right? With our semi-witty banter and our incessant rambling.
Yes.
With that being said.
The rambling for sure.
Until next time.